You open an app, swipe your thumb, and immediately begin filtering through an endless feed of colors, faces, and text competing for your attention. But you don't actually watch most of it. In less than half a second, your brain processes a single thumbnail and makes a complex neurological decision to stop scrolling and click. That split-second choice feels like a conscious preference for entertainment. In reality, it is a deeply ingrained biological reflex, a survival mechanism from a time when ignoring a facial cue meant missing a lethal threat. Most of us assume we go online looking for escapism. We want to be entertained, learn something new, or simply feel good. This bar chart visualizes the frequency of different thumbnail styles, reflecting that desire. Happy, smiling faces dominate, showing up in 25.3% of uploads. But as we look further down the graph, thumbnails featuring intense negative emotions like fear, shock, or sadness are incredibly rare, making up only 1.8%. When we invert this graph to track actual viewership outcomes, the math flips entirely. That tiny fraction of distressed faces generates a massive spike, pulling in an average of 2.3 million views. We actively seek out pleasure, yet our attention is magnetically drawn to misery and distress. Our focus is captured not by feeling good, but by a problem requiring immediate intervention. To the primitive brain, an unresolved problem is a potential danger. To understand why this works, we have to look at the Fusiform gyrus. This is a specific region in your brain hardwired to prioritize human faces above all other incoming visual data. This diagram illustrates how visual strategists exploit that biology. They crop tight, ensuring a human face takes up at least 40% of the visual frame, creating an anchor your brain literally cannot ignore. Recognizing a face alone doesn't guarantee a click. The specific micro-expression that face displays dictates your neurological response. Consider a broadly smiling, perfectly symmetrical face. This communicates a completely resolved emotional state. A resolved state tells your brain that the situation is safe and the story is over. There is no biological incentive to investigate further, which means your thumb keeps right on scrolling. Now compare that to a face showing extreme fear, a look of deep awe, or profound, intense grief. This is an unresolved state. It creates a curiosity gap, a psychological void between the information you currently possess and the critical context you lack. This tension is amplified by the frozen moment. The image never tells the whole story. Instead, it pauses right before a severe consequence, forcing you to wonder what happens next. When the subject makes direct eye contact, that tension escalates. They are confronting you, transferring their emotional stakes directly through the screen. This diagram breaks down the 60-30-10 color rule designers use to amplify the threat level. They use a dark background for 60%, highlight the subject for 30%, and inject 10% high arousal colors like stark yellow for alertness and bright red for urgency. In a fraction of a second, your brain absorbs this combination of distress, impending action, and alarming color. You are suddenly carrying the cognitive weight and limbic friction of an unresolved, potentially dangerous situation. The physical act of clicking is the only mechanism your brain has in that moment to find the visual conclusion and quiet the cognitive alarm. For years, creators manufactured this tension by exaggerating their expressions, but audiences are experiencing severe fatigue from these wide-eyed, artificial reactions. Platforms are actively evolving in response. They are moving away from rewarding initial clicks, prioritizing instead predictive retention and long-term watch time. This has led to the proof of human mandate. Our highly evolved facial recognition systems inherently reject perfectly symmetrical, plastic AI-generated faces in favor of genuine, flawed microexpressions. Earning an audience now relies entirely on documenting authentic human distress and curiosity, rather than engineering it in a photo editor. Every click on a distressed human face is a reflection of an involuntary reflex, the same one that compelled our ancestors to investigate danger to ensure they made it through the night. We are biologically incapable of ignoring trouble. We click because the brain is still prioritizing the signals it once used to keep us alive.